Hi everyone! I am actually at Philippi Park right now, and I am standing at the top of the Native American Tocobaga Indian Mound. And what's really cool about this Indian Mound is it is the biggest one left in the Tampa Bay area, which is where we live. And there's lots of history here. And it's really cool that we have something like this close to home. And since we've been studying Native Americans for a few weeks, I thought it would be a wonderful idea to take a little field trip to Philippi Park, to this Indian mound. And we can learn all about Native Americans and actually see where they would have lived. Let's go take our field trip. My 5-lesson unit plan is focused around social studies. So for my virtual field trip, I decided that I would take my students to Philippi Park that is located in Safety Harbor because it offers a rich historical experience for the students. Although Philippi Park was only home to one Native American tribe called the Tocobaga Indians, this field trip will give the students a connection between the activities that we did as a class and the realistic lives that the Native Americans actually lived. Throughout the park, there are many signs that explain to the students about the Native American Indians and also about the animals and plants that live there. In front of the historical Indian mound, there is a fairly large display that tells about the Tocobaga Native Americans that lived there once. This display also explains to the students what the mound is made of. It says things like the mound is made of mostly shells and rocks that were plentiful at the time the Native Americans lived. This would be a great starting point for the students to begin their field trip because it would allow for the students to begin making text-to-world connections about what we had been learning in our classroom. Alright guys, well we're standing about halfway up the Native American Indian Mound at Philippi Park, and we just read a really cool sign that told us a little bit about this Indian mound. And what it said was that at the very top there's still a part of a structure left of something that used to be there when the Native Americans lived here. And what they think that structure is maybe a part of where the chief lived. That he probably lived at the very top since he was head of everyone. And that's really cool. And they say that near the back, near the bottom of the Indian mound, there was probably a marketplace where all the people, gathered and socialized. While exploring the Indian mound, as a class we would walk around and down the side of the mound that overlooks the water. While standing on the steps, I would ask the students how they think the daily life of the Native Americans would go about. I would ask questions such as, what do you think they ate? And since we are so close to the water, I would tell the students to think about all of the natural resources that the mound was near, like the water, to make their predictions about what they might eat. And hopefully they would say fish. Taking the children to an actual Native American historical site is great because usually the stories that we read as a class are Native American tales, which the students understand as being mostly untrue, since they are tales. So being an actual historical site would put our lessons into perspective for the students. Another great reason why Philippi Park would be a perfect location for a field trip to close out our Native American unit is that throughout the park there are many small signs almost hidden in the greenery and plants that name each different plant. It would be a great idea for the students to copy down these names and for us to continue with the science unit about the plants that we found. We could even study and research them to find out if they are still common throughout Florida or if they have evolved throughout the years. I would use this field trip as a bridge to a new unit. So I think spending a couple hours at Philippi Park would be sufficient and effective for the students to gain a realistic understanding of Native Americans and how they lived. Since the park is in Pinellas County, it is very convenient for the students to take a field trip there. Another plus to this location is that there is no fee for entrance into this historical park, so students would only be paying for the bus, which would be fairly cheap on cost. This field trip would pose to new questions from the students, which would broaden their understanding of the topic.